Thank you for joining us at Unrestricted at thenewamerican.com. I'm Bill Jasper, Senior Editor for The New American Magazine, President of the John Birch Society, and it is such an honor to have a special guest today, the man who is shaking the universe in the past week and today with major announcements, the one and only Alex Jones. Alex, it's an honor to have you on today. Been on your program a lot. This is the first time I've been able to host you.
Well, thanks for having me, but we wouldn't have a fighting chance if it wasn't for Mr. Welch and then your parents and everybody else. The John Birch Society is literally the Tiger Woods and the Tom Brady of fighting tyranny. So we all stand on your shoulders. So it's great to be here.
Well, thanks so much. Well, so for those people who may not understand, not realize what happened in the past week, it was the end of a 30-year run, but the beginning of another run, correct? Tell everybody what happened.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's a long story, but it's come out in court and be partially declassified by Trump. That a criminal investigation last year by Ed Martin, the head of the Weaponization Task Force, the deputy AG killed it and badmouthed it, ABC News everywhere. But they admitted the FBI and the CIA started a project in 2013 that I was given the national security documents last year and published some, declaring me a national security risk to be destroyed. I know that happened to John Birch Society back in the 60s. And so they did these long-term investigations trying to find something, but they also wanted to frustrate and degrade us. So they debanked us, they harassed us, they had the Southern Poverty Law Center trying to infiltrate us. We caught them. It would take days to tell you the sagas, but I would expect that fighting these tyrants. So I signed up for this. I knew I was over the target. And then they had show trials where the judges already found us guilty with the Sandy Hook stuff, which I never even said or did. And then they produced by HBO. They had a $1.5 billion judgment in Connecticut, a $47 million one in Texas. And then the federal courts wouldn't do what they wanted to do because they never wanted an auction. You're supposed to sell assets. We had good guys ready to pay a lot of money for it. So they did a fake auction a year and a half ago with the Onion, financed by Bloomberg, and the Everytown Gun Control Organization. The judge threw that out. Then about 3 months ago, they left the federal courts because they wouldn't do what they wanted. They went to the state court, the same Guerra Gamble Soros judge, because judges are elected here in Texas. She's literally a Soros judge, one of the worst in the country. And she put a receiver in. And then he said about 3 months ago, we're not going to pay the bills anymore, even though it was putting money in the company. So they said, you're out of the building May 30th, April 30th, May 1st, May Day, we're taking over. And the Onion about 3 weeks ago announced, and we're taking over, even though there was no court documents or any transfers that happened. So we went and appealed it the Third Court of Appeals last week. They blocked it, just like the fake auction a year and a half ago. But people didn't say, well, did the Onion take over? Well, no, they didn't take over. We're fighting them in court because they want to steal my identity and wear my skin and all this stuff and misrepresent what we've done. But because the internet providers were all told to cut us off by the receiver at midnight, April 30th, we left and locked the building. They then filed at the Supreme Court of Texas Friday claiming I stole equipment, even though they're not in the building, and that we left and turned off the internet to sabotage the asset when they themselves have said they want to destroy the asset to get me off air. So now they're in big trouble, about to get sanctioned, and so much more. But this is just kind of the tail end of this latest phase of what they've done. But through our sponsor, Bigly, the sponsor, Steven Crowder, and a bunch of other shows, been working with them for years. They built the Alex Jones Network. We're building a bigger studio. We have our podcast studio, our news studio, but they're building a bigger studio that's even better than my original studio. I will just be an employee of the Alex Jones Network, and they can still harass me with their lawfare, but not this new company because it's totally legitimate, and runs a bunch of other news shows and programs for other people. And so it's a multimedia, slash sales company. And so the Alex Jones Network, AlexJonesLive.com, they kicked us out of the building Thursday night, and I was right back the next day at my regular time. New satellites, all the stations picked it up. New website that's even better than Infowars, AlexJonesLive.com. And then they immediately went and filed lies, accusing me of crimes and all this stuff. So we're seeking sanctions and all the rest of it because they controlled the Austin court and the Connecticut Democrat courts, but they don't control, to the credit of the Democrat court, the Third Court of Appeals has ruled consistently 2 years every time against them. And the federal court ruled against them. So we're in the stalemate because they were able to get a non-dischargeable judgment years ago but then the courts keep blocking them, not letting them have what they want because they didn't want a monetary settlement. They want me off the air. And again, it's the Democrats, Michael Bloomberg, FBI, CIA, DOJ on record running it all. So it's just epic level trolling. The sad part about Trump is, and again, overall, still like Trump better than the Democrats, is that when I learned from Ed Martin 6 months ago, and it was in the news because the deputy AG, now the AG, Todd Blanche bragged about it, they had 6 criminal investigations going on of what they did, cut and dry, CIA, DOJ funding the lawsuits against me, raiding it all, and Ed Martin was subpoenaing people, and then Todd Blanche killed the investigation into the Paul Weiss law firm that settled for $40 million with Trump last year through his lawyer Boris Epstein. They said, yeah, we did lawfare against you. Yeah, it was illegal. We paid $40 million in restitution. We'll stop doing this to you and your supporters. But they're still running it all. They're still doing it all. And then Todd Blanche killed the investigation 6 months ago and said, Alex Jones is a kook. He doesn't deserve the DOJ's protection. But really, he's just protecting the DOJ and what they did. So I don't feel like a victim. This is a process of being over the target, getting the flack. This is God just drawing out what they've done. But then when we went off the air Thursday, I've had a lot of Streisand effects, and I've been, at one point I had a bigger podcast than even Joe Rogan. I had the #1 podcast in the world. Freedom was so popular, 2016, 17, 18. It's why they came after me. We have now been catapulted back to #1 slot right now with just epic level, 6-7 million visitors a day to alexjoneslive.com on all the platforms, record listenership, more radio stations wanting it. So as long as the old Roman saying, you're not defeated until you believe you are, is just as long as we keep fighting, God then opens another door for us. But even if I got shut down or killed tomorrow, I've already done my mission. I'm not going to blame God. I don't need a Jobian, test to prove that. But I've been through like maybe a third of what Job went through, and I just see God's hand in all this. So it's so beautiful. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. And I mean, people say I look 10 years younger the last week. The crew's like, why are you suddenly so happy? And it's like I left it all in the field. I did everything I could. The listeners backed us so much. And they did so many evil things to my family and everybody else, but at the end, you can see God winning. You can see the process happening here, and it's totally exploded in their face. And people at the gas station and at church, everywhere, see through this. They know the truth. They may have found me civilly liable in their show trials, but the court of public opinion, we've won. It's not about me. Literally, it's all been God's hand on this, working through people, here, on this temporal plane that has done this. And so I'm on cloud 9 right now. And I just love God so much. It's just so amazing. And I'm so thankful to the listeners and the supporters and my crew, what we've been through. It's been very cathartic.
You had quite a send off on your final broadcast there, your toast with all the crew. And, but the fight is not over. You're still in the fight. And, I watched on The Atlantic and CNN and MS Now and all of them celebrating the end of Alex Jones, but this is not the end, as you just pointed out. You're looking forward to bigger and better things.
But that shows their whole paradigm as low information news people, news consumers, and low information voters. So yes, overall, most people see through it that are dialed in, but I was at the gas station last night, like 7 o'clock, and this older gentleman came over and he said, man, Alex, I've been listening to you for years. I'm so sad you're off the air. Hope you get back on air. And I said, when's the last time you listened? Oh, I saw some clips this week. I watched like a week ago. I said, listen, we're at Alex Jones Live, same satellites, same radio stations. It's a lot. He goes, well, I saw on the front page of the paper, finally Alex Jones is off the air. Just type that in. It's everywhere. And I said, that's what the enemy does. They just announce something and announce the battle's over and hope you just go home. So there is a minority of people that are buying into this thing that, oh, I saw Oliver X, not even looking, like, oh, God, I love Alex. Too bad he's off the air. I'm like all day, like commenting in the post. No, we're here. So a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't. But that's what the system bets on, saying Trump says all Mexicans are scum. Never said that. Trump says the KKK is very fine people. He said they're not fine people. They just count on the big lie. And even good people still don't get the level of lies. They still just don't understand that you cannot just believe something you're told. And I still get caught in this. I'll see, CNN will announce something so bold-faced, I think, well, it must be true, then it's not. So yeah, it's all a war of people being busy, not paying attention. and then them just having this faux victory. Like 2.5 weeks ago, when the Onion said, "We own Infowars." You look at the clips. We're in the building, and he's off the air. And we're in the building, and we're not off the air. And there's no contract. They hadn't got it yet. We learned they had a hearing set for last Thursday, where the Soros judge had CNN and NPR and dozens of cameras, but she was already shut down by the Court of Appeals the night before, so she just didn't know what to say. But that's what they do. They just pull these stunts. But so that's where we are. But it's very confusing. They want to make it that way, but at the end of the day, the truth will come out.
Well, so just to be sure, it is the Alex Jones show.net.com.
Yeah, it's alexjoneslive.com.
alexjoneslive.com. Right. Okay. And
yeah, that's the news site, just like Infowars, but better, with the articles, the videos, and all that. Because they can't take my name. Because they already claimed a year and a half ago in court, they said the 13th Amendment against slavery, you look this up, folks, even Bloomberg reported it, does not apply to him. They wanted my name. They tried to get my handles on X, and I knew Elon would defend it, not for me, but because you can't have Democrats saying they can take control of URLs on X. They came in and beat that in court. So, but you can pipe in the headlines now. The Onion says now that we own Alex Jones, we're going to destroy his name. It's all delusional. And then out of the gates, the comics they hired that could do impressions of me say, "We pledge allegiance to Satan. We love." They do all these skits about hardcore kidnapping children, Satanism, murdering, torturing them. A decade ago, right when Pizzagate happened, they suddenly on Adult Swim flooded the zone. They hired the former head of Adult Swim. And they go, "Oh, it's just a joke. We drink blood and love Satan." No, it's them telling you who they are.
Didn't they do that with the Nickelodeon? Nick at Night, wasn't that connected with that? So here you have a children's channel with the perversion being put mainstreamed onto it.
And then they hide and say it's just comedy. I don't know if you've seen the creative director that they brought in.
Yes,
but I've already watched like 5 hours of it. I've been sent like 10 more. I can't watch it. I mean, this is indescribable.
I watched about 5 minutes of it, and I said, "This is beyond the pale. This is, it's obvious that they are mainstreaming pedophilia. They're doing the little thing with the crying babies and making fun of the crying babies and the puppets and everything. It's disgusting."
Well, they say we use international ships where we can have our way with children. It says cruise ship with children. And they say we poison them with Raid, but we don't want to kill them because a dead kid is not good. And I mean, it's all, and they said terms we had to look up. You think I knew about all the stuff. I didn't. They have this term, I don't want to say it here on air, but they produced. Then they said, "Oh, we did all this devil worship to mess with Alex." No, the two guys they hired are obsessed for over a decade. I mean, let's just say what they put on national TV, which I didn't know this airs on cable. And I knew Nickelodeon did it, but yeah, associated with Adult Swim. I can't even say it on air, but it's a term they use, which is like Skull and Bones, where a man is in a bathtub and like 6 little kids get around who have eaten the bodies of babies, the softest, sweetest meats. They have a name for it, and then they defecate on an adult in like a satanic baptism of feces. And so they did this 5 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, we did it to mess with Alex Jones." No, I mean, I'm sorry to tell you this, folks. It just you cannot make this up. I mean, and so it's like God is so real. It's like literally who Bloomberg and his Everytown group that admittedly is financing the Onion and the former MSNBC head censor, like Brian Stelter's counterpart from CNN. The body of the work they brought in to run the Alex Jones attack and to wear Infowars skin are literally obsessed with stuff like code words and stuff. And I had to research it, and I learned even more about Satanism and pedophilia than I thought I knew it all.
The Epstein files were just a peek into all of this, and it is a very, very dark and perverse universe that these folks dwell in.
Yeah, I mean, they say, and these are shows 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, with like these comedians that were given production control of a major channel on cable. And my crew is like, well, let's look, what does that term mean? We're like, oh, I mean, you can't even look at it. I mean, you enter this, the computer's like, warning, 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 don't search this. You know, it's like stuff I didn't even know about. And because I mean, I didn't know about a lot of this perverse stuff until you got on the air and learned about it. I thought I knew about a lot of it. It's like, and again, they're like, oh, we're just joking to mess with him. No, a decade plus of their work is you. I mean, you would only know this if you were deep into it. So I would tell viewers, I would not even search this stuff because you don't want to see it.
Yeah. It's hiding in plain sight. They know that they are sending a multi-layered message. They're sending one message to those who are in the know, who are involved in all this perversity, and then they're sending another message to the general public to desensitize them and to normalize certain things and saying, this is just comedy, this is just jokes. But it's really a psyop. It's a huge, huge psyop that is.
And by the way, you should come on my show tomorrow. I told Daria last week you on. I don't know if she called you because I know you're a child psychologist originally. I wanted to get you on to break his head. Exactly. They signal with the most hardcore stuff to, hey, we support devil worship and pedophilia. Not saying they're devil worship and pedophile, but they're supporting it. They're definitely signaling to it. Like, I feel dirty even having to learn the terms. I thought I knew it. And then then they're desensitizing everybody else. Then they hide behind comedy and say, oh, we're just now doing this because he claims all this false stuff. But they explode on the scene in 2016 when Spirit Cooking and WikiLeaks comes out and John Podesta's having 7, 8, and 9-year-olds delivered to a secluded cabin to a hot tub for his entertainment. So they all exploded then, not just them, others. Turns out The Rock and others went on. It was a flood of this, remember? Right when all that Hillary stuff broke, they were all over every channel. Colbert, all of them making jokes about this. Exactly. Just flood the zone with a smoke screen. It's just a joke. This is unbelievable.
Well, we just came out with our new issue of the Conspiracy for Global Control. And you, of course, remember 30 years ago when we came out with this issue because you were very instrumental in helping push a lot of these out to the American public. And unfortunately, we have seen in the last 30 years the mainstreaming and normalization of incredibly evil things, but at the same time, the level of understanding and the number of people, the percentage of the American people that now recognize that, this deep state, this conspiracy, these insiders, the shadow government, the uniparty, this is all very real. There are individuals and organizations who, at the highest levels, economic, political, social, military, industrial, big tech, big pharma, big military, are colluding to bring about their new world order, which is going to be, if they are successful, if we don't expose this, if the American people don't come to a realization of this, we will not have any hope of escaping the Orwellian. In fact, with all the digital surveillance, we've far surpassed the Orwellian 1984.
Exactly. And you talk about that issue 30 years ago. It wasn't that I was trying to promote it. It was also accurate. I based my film, America Destroyed by Design, my first film that went so viral. People made millions of copies on DVD and VHS. I just fought, because I would go spot check the library and personally, everything you were writing as the editor, what they were saying. And I was just like, this is the blueprint. And so, yeah, I mean, certainly I boosted the John Birch Society because I knew it was so accurate. It's like both my grandfathers and my dad, family, told me. And that's why I talk about you guys so much, because just the closest thing to a flawless record. But you got to come on my show the next few days, because I've already wanted to get you on to talk about this Satanism and to play these clips, because, and I can show people the FBI definitions that are very restricted. They're not secret, but they're very hard to find. Like it's almost like a crime, though, to even show people what they're saying, the code words, because they also say we're raping kids and giving them poison and starving them in cages and destroying them and then killing them when we're done and burying in the backyard. They say all this, but then they give all these terms that when you look it up, it's like super dark web stuff. And this is 10 years ago they're doing it. And you just come face to face, like we're literally fighting Renfields that work for Dracula. And that just makes my faith in God, which is already complete, like doubled, because this is 100%. I interrupted you just to say, oh my God, you're totally right. explain that again for people. So at least if you don't come tomorrow, I can play the show tomorrow, your show, the layers of how this programming, predictive programming works, because they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, so it's happening not only in this field with regard to all this really evil pedophilia and whatnot, but across the board in many other things. But in this area, it's a pattern which we see elsewhere, and that is they come out with these very over the top, and incredibly dark programs that postulate and that talk about all of these terrible things that they're doing with children. And then at one level, this is for all of their true believers, their practitioners who are out there who get off on this and who are emboldened by this because it is coming out more into the open. And so it is being spread. And so there are on the internet, on the dark web, and even allowed on our regular internet, sites which can direct people, if they know the right code words, if they know the right, make the right connections, to get into these various clubs and covens and organizations where this takes place. But then at a lower level, it's aimed at the broader population so that we will become more inured to it, more normalized to it. We'll begin accepting this as each installment of this is a psychological operation that reduces your rejection of this kind of thing. You should be, even the thought of this should repel us. We should find it so repelling.
It's desensitization, like sexualizing children, drag queen storytelling. They should never even have to confront this exactly. They're just conditioning us incrementally.
Right, and that's the kind of thing that used to be so objectionable, so appalling that nobody who was a child molester or a pedophile would want to be in prison, because even evil, hardened criminals would kill them for that. You don't do that with children. And now it's become, we saw in England with the Jimmy Savile case. Here he was, a big BBC rock star of entertainment, and he was a raging pedophile who was abusing the kids in the hospital under his care. He was raising funds supposedly to help the kids. Meanwhile, he and the top elites of the British government were abusing, and the evidence shows we're actually disposing of them, i.e. killing them. So, and that was just one case out of many in England and Belgium and France and
he
Germany.
had the highest level security clearance of the royal family to be able to, any time of day, go into the royal chambers with his badge he had.
Yes. So that's the level at which this is operating right now, at the highest levels of government. And because they have the connections with all of their people in the media, which we saw just a week ago at the National Journalist Conference that Trump was at, the first one that he had been to, because they're so leftist, they're so, always having a slobbering love affair with the Obamas, the Bidens, the Clintons. And so they're all providing cover for them. They're all helping to cover up any of these.
No, I agree. But for me, to have Bloomberg publicly, this has been a year and a half ago on Stephanopoulos, Bloomberg's funding every town that funds the Onion. So Bloomberg is literally funding people that show up and say, we drink blood, we hate kids, we poison kids, we love Satan, we pledge ourselves to Satan. Folks, I'm not making this up. It's time of the Onion, pledge to Satan against Alex Jones. And they go, oh, it's a joke. No, it's why are they, because you're a psychologist, a smart historian, I want your view on this. I respect it. I'm actually asking a real question here. Why are they uncloaking now? Like, how do they think it discredits me to hail Satan, say we love killing kids? Oh, but it's all a joke, ha ha. Like, is that a sign of strength? I think it's a sign of weakness. Why is the enemy unmasking right now?
I am certain there are some members of this cult who are alarmed by it getting too much into the open, and others who are emboldened and thrilled by this. So you saw just this week I believe it's this week. It's either on Prime or Paramount. They have a new Anne Rice Lestat, the vampire, so, and I've only seen the trailers for it, but this is going even deeper, more sensational into the whole Vampire Chronicles type of thing. Highly sexualized, very promotional of the whole occult Satanist program. And this is rampant all across the entertainment industry now, so that young people who have never known anything but that, I mean, I wouldn't know. My kids are now in their 40s, but even when they were little kids, I would not, when there was such a thing as video stores before we had live streaming, and I wanted to go get a good Western movie or an old movie to watch, I couldn't take them to the video stores because of all the pornographic and violent stuff that was just on the covers of videos. But now it's live streamed to them. So we have a couple generations of young people who have been raised on that. And it has completely desensitized the whole population to the kinds of things that we previously all across society would have found totally repellent and abhorrent.
So the Satanists probably pretty much can't even hide it anymore. It's like they're so far along now they can't even hide it.
Yeah, and so I'm sure there's a tension amongst them over those that are saying, "Hey, wait, you're getting a little too open here. We got to tone it down a little," just like we saw with the LGBTQ LMNOP program back when After the Ball was written by the two homosexual activists, psychologists, and they said, look, we have to normalize what is now considered perverse. And so we do that by saturating the media with it. But you want the softer images. You don't want to show all the leather and really punky and butch evil guys. You want to show people that look normal, that look like construction workers, that look like moms and dads, so that the whole LGBT LMNOP thing can be normalized. And they do the same thing then when they went beyond that to transgender. We have to have people that are more normal that people can identify with, and so they're doing that.
And now it's men and women sports and men beating up women. Exactly. You got one camp that wants to go all the way, the other camp wants a slow roll. So we should almost be thankful for those that are uncontrolled because they expose the game.
Yeah, I mean, so they're showing the true face. They've dropped the mask, and in their circles there are some who are saying, "Hey, wait, we're not ready to drop the mask yet. Put the mask back on." So we're seeing that the same thing in the Democrat Party now with. We saw on May Day, and as you were talking about things earlier, I was thinking, well, it wasn't just a coincidence that May Day was your D-Day for them. They wanted to specifically
they told me
to
a
have
month
this.
ago, you shut down the 30th. I went, that's May Day.
Yeah,
because if we shut down at midnight, that means at May Day. It's a ritual.
So on May Day, with all the No Kings demonstrations that went on, hundreds of them, they say thousands, maybe it was thousands all across the country. If you were there, I didn't go to any. I used to go out on May Day every day when I was working undercover in the Communist Party, Revolutionary Communist Party, and I'd be photographing and everything. The media would never show all of the red flags, the hammers and sickles, Communist Party USA, Revolutionary Communist Party, Marxist, Maoist, Leninist, all of those things. They would never show that. They would just say International Workers' Day, whereas in virtually all of these cases, they were being led by the various communist parties. So we saw that on May Day of this year. Huge red flags, a lot of them coming out of the closet. And Bernie Sanders was speaking at one of the biggest ones. And behind him, you see the Party of Socialism and Liberation, PSL, which is a formerly Trotskyite. Now they tend to be more Maoist-oriented. National Answer Coalition, all of these hardcore communist organizations, they're coming out and flying the red flag and the hammers and sickles very openly. And you see some of the other Democrats are going, well, this is not going to help us. It's not good optics. But the Bernie and the Mamdani and the AOC folks are saying, no, this is our new brand. We're gonna become more aggressive and come out into the open. And so there's this tension going on there between them. Is how fast do we come out and drop the mask?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting here just thinking about what's happened. It's like they say they're taking over 2.5 weeks ago. They say we love Satan, we love pedophilia, and then it turns out they have a decade of this behind them. It's just like, but I guess that's who they are, and so they're just going to show us. But in your view, what's going on with Trump? Because I'm no fan of the mullahs, but the Pentagon said don't go in there. It's going to fail,
Well,
and now he's in this trap. I'm really concerned.
Well, as we've discussed before on your program, Alex, I've said, look, I've been doing this for 50 years, and I know in my lifetime and my parents' lifetime, we have seen the uniparty in action. And it's taken a long time for people to understand that, because it was always the Republicans' role to sound conservative and the Democrats' role to sound liberal. Now the Democrats have become more and more far left. The Republicans have have moved over the years more and more left, adopting the Democrat light program, so that we did have a uniparty. It was yesterday's left is today's center. And so we were moving in that direction. Trump was a game changer in that across the board. We'd never seen anyone.
100%, he was a game changer. His first term, the 4 years of fighting, I know the issues like you do. He was like 97, 8% accurate, even more than I. He would make mistakes. But starting about 10 months ago, when we got rid of Musk, and then when Kirk died about 7-8 months ago, it suddenly changed. I'm not saying he's even worse than Democrats, but I'm saying the trajectory has gotten worse and worse.
Yes, we have to credit him with the border and all that, but his H-1B and now the new amnesty for Dreamers and whatnot is undercutting one of his trump cards. But also,
the new ICED is saying back off.
Yeah, and then he invited all the big tech bros to the White House, and all of a sudden, now he's good with having all this technology surveillance with Palantir and with
Well, let's be
Oracle.
clear, he put all his former enemies on the board of that and didn't put Musk on.
Yeah. So there's some bad things happening, and of course the same thing with his endorsements for a lot of candidates. A lot of the GOP people at the state level and at the congressional level that he is endorsing in primaries, he's endorsing people, some of whom are very bad. The New American Magazine, the John Birch
like Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, we publish our scoreboard. Freedom Index on not just on Congress now, but on all state legislatures. And many of the people that he is primarying, that he's endorsing, they have an R by their name, but they're left-wing, some of them former Democrats. He's endorsing them against people who are pretty good, who are very good, who have on our record 100% constitutional ratings. So he's getting pressure in a lot of different ways. He's caved in. For instance, we know he bragged about it. You probably showed on your show where he had Miriam Edelman there, and he's thanking her for
all the foreign money.
$250 million, and then she's going to give him another $250 million. So he is going on many of these issues to where the money is telling him to go, and that's not.
That's and I know you want Trump to succeed. People claiming we want kudos from the left, or I love the left clipping me out of context, acting like I'm with them. No, they're 10 times worse. I'm trying to just do the crime scene thing of what happened to Trump. Why is this happening? Can he be salvaged? Because man, right now we're going to get murdered in the midterms.
Yeah, and he's alienating all of his base. Okay, so one of his strongest bases is the pro-life, pro-family group. Well, he's gone further than Biden on okaying the abortion pill. So 2/3 of the abortions are being done chemically and with the telemedicine, and so I mean those things. Pro-lifers aren't going to turn out and walk precincts for him if he's going to be killing babies.
And the Supreme Court just protected the abortion bill.
Yeah. So yes, we're.
So what do you think made the turn? Because I never saw him with Epstein, but he said to Marjorie Taylor Greene, and now it's said publicly, he's protecting his friends. So are they compromising him, or why do you do this?
Well, so people have asked me, they say, well, look, you got photos of him with Epstein. Well, I say, look, I'm not as well known or as famous as Donald Trump, but when I'm at events, people come up and and the same thing happens to you. They want to have selfies taken with you. And I say, fine. So that happens at every event you go to. People will want to have photos taken.
The photos with him in galas is it's not a real attack.
That's
him protecting Ludnick, who lied about going to Epstein Island, living next door. That's an issue.
Yeah. So I say, look, Biden and company, those who control him, had control over the Epstein files for 4 years. If they had had a lot of dirt in there, they would have used it. They used everything else against him. So I don't think the Epstein files compromise him personally, but as you pointed out, what Marjorie Taylor Greene and others have said, he is protecting other people who would be compromised. So why is he doing that? Do they hold the keys to him financially? I don't know. But
we know they always say he was a Russian agent. No evidence was shown. Then they talk about Deutsche Bank, and but no, the Rothschilds are his biggest backers, and so I think that's where this goes.
Well, so we know from the Epstein files, all the Rothschilds that are in there 12,000 times, I believe. We've written about that. And
Epstein says, I am there. And listen, I got this wrong. I'm usually ahead of the curve. I want to ask you this question. And before we end this, you got to tell me when you're coming on the next few days. But we're supposed to move on. Imagine, I'm told 98% of the files they have been released. That's why it's so big. It's Mossad, MI6, CIA joint operation. That's confirmed. He is in there. I know you know this, but for viewers who may not know it, he is in there saying, I am the Epstein. Epstein says, I am the Rothschild representative. And then it's all confirmed. At 30 years old in 1991, I knew he was on the Trilateral Commission. I didn't understand he was the legate or stand-in for David Rockefeller, recommended by, obviously, Foreign Intelligence Agency. And so that's why he was so powerful, is that he was the chairperson, because, Rockefeller was doing the other stuff, who was like an imperial legate. The old Roman emperors would have a few guys that, had a scroll or a rock or a seal or ring where they were the emperor in his stead. And so I knew Epstein was a super gopher. No, he was the Trilateral Commission chairperson for David Rockefeller that, as you know, set the UN, all this modern stuff. That's why he really was super powerful. I thought he was just a super gopher. But as all these old guys he worked for got old and senile, he was their gopher. He was their assistant, but he became them, like the Sith. The one Sith dies, the apprentice becomes the leader of the Sith. I didn't realize that Epstein was that powerful, but the emails all show it. Heads of state groveling to him.
Yes. So, and
Israel groveling to him.
That's why I believe Rockefeller put him in there, because you need someone like that who is the order of deviancy and deviousness and cunning, who will have no problem with compromising people in every way imaginable. And he
used him for the dirty work because he had endless energy, and he could go from pure Satanism, raping kids from those reports, literally eating baby guts, to be completely great, doing a whole contract. He could work exactly. He was, when it comes to evil, very powerful. Exactly. And he was like a Swiss Army knife.
And keep in mind that from the Epstein files, only about half have been released, and that is not including the Epstein videos. But here's the real mind-blowing thing, as we reported. The Zorro Ranch was never even searched, and now it's being searched, and things are coming out there. So that is where
they had years of hundreds of trucks dumping concrete into holes, which shows they got snorkels showing there was an underground base, like witnesses said. But exactly, the official DOJ says half was released. But I've talked to Kyle Seraphin and all of them. You read the documents. If you count all the terabytes, which we first broke like 8 months ago, it was 14, whatever. It's more than that. It's 98% has not been released.
Yeah.
If you just count pure terabyte, 98%.
So, no, the Epstein files are not going to go away no matter how many foreign wars or other things we get into, because this really explains how and why our country has been going down, why no matter who we've elected, we still see the same trajectory, and we're headed into the abyss, to the pit of hell. And unfortunately, you know, as Tara Lee Rhodes, you probably have had her on your program. She testified at DHS there were 350,000 children missing. Supposedly they've found some of them, but we know there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands that are still missing and probably will never be found.
Incredible. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's too evil to fail, which I'm not saying it is, but it's so epic. The average person that just wants to go home and be with their family and play a board game and eat a steak, like that never gets old.
But you won't have a family. That your kids will not be safe. They will be able to take your kids away from you if we don't solve this.
Look at the transgenderism. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that's their plan. I was just saying a normal person. I don't know about. I always hear about elites that get bored of stuff. A sunset just gets better. Hanging out with my family and swimming in a swimming pool or hiking up a mountain or playing with my dogs. It just gets better. I don't understand this thing. Like, they're evil though. See, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, it's not real, but it's an allegory. They got the Aztec gold, the curse, so they can't drink the wine, they can't enjoy the food. These Satanists get into Satanism, and then nothing satiates them. They got to have more, more, more.
Well, Alex, we're going to have to get you back on, and I'll talk with your gal there, and we'll set up for going on your show this week.
Well, thanks for standing up for what we're doing. I'm kind of the canary in the coal mine. AlexJonesLive.com. People can find the daily show there, the weekend shows we do on X Real Alex Jones, on Rumble, at AJN Live. But hey, yeah, text me when you want to come on, because today's Tuesday. So we got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'd love to get you on for like an hour and a half to talk about big picture, also get into all this stuff. But regardless, I'm going to grab this and air it on my show. But let's do it, brother. I really appreciate it, William.
God bless. Keep up the fight.
I'm trying.
That's our program today at Unrestricted at thenewamerican.com. And we want to thank Alex Jones for coming on to the program today and letting us know all that's been happening in this historic week. And please remember to get your copy of Conspiracy for Global Control at shopjbs.org. Thank you.